Hi, my name is Brian Lim. I'm the Multiple Subject Program Coordinator at Sac State. I'll be talking about the Edtpa. Why TPA? As of July 2008, California statute requires all candidates for a preliminary, multiple, and single subject teaching credential to pass an assessment of their teaching performance with K-12 public school students. It's part of the requirements for earning a teaching credential. This assessment of teaching performance is designed to measure the candidate's knowledge, skill, and ability with relation to California's teaching performance expectations, including demonstrating his or her ability to appropriately instruct all K-12 students in the student academic content standards. At Sacramento State University, we have selected Edtpa to meet the California TPA requirement. What is Edtpa? Edtpa is a subject-specific performance assessment of a beginning teaching. It's available in 27 different teaching fields. Developed by the faculty and staff at Stanford Center for Assessment, Learning, and Equity. Developed by the subject-specific design teams and improved from hundreds of teachers, educators, and P12 teachers. Edtpa has an educative purpose that provides actionable evidence of a beginning teaching quality, provides feedback to teaching candidates to support ongoing professional learning, informs programs and states that candidates are ready to teach. Edtpa is part of a multiple majors assessment system that complements other program requirements. These include program-specific assessments, standardized professional assessment of content knowledge and basic skills, such as Eureka and CSET, faculty observations and evaluation of coursework and field work. So Edtpa is designed mainly in 3 tasks. Task 1 is planning, which building content understanding, supporting learning needs, using knowledge of students, assessments to monitor students' learning. Task 2 is instruction, learning environment engagement in learning, deepening thinking, subject-specific pedagogy. And task 3 is the assessment. The candidate has to analyze the students' learning, provide feedback, and support students' using of the feedback. Then there is an academic language aspects of it throughout all 3 tasks. Candidates are required to submit the same type of material, source of evidence for all subject areas. These include both artifacts and commentary for each task. Task 1 planning, the artifacts are context for learning, lesson plan, 3 to 5 days lesson plans, instructional material, and assessments. And then they have to reply to planning commentary. Task 2 instruction, the artifact is unedited video recording. Depends on the content of 15 minutes to 20 minutes. And then they have to respond to instructional commentary. Task 3 is the assessment. Artifact for task 3 is student work samples for 3 focus students, but they need a whole classroom assessment. They need to provide the evidence of evidence, evidence of feedback, and then evaluation criteria. And then they have to respond to assessment commentary. For multiple subject credential, they have the 4th task just for the multiple subject, which is a literacy component. So task 1 through 3, they do the for multiple subject. They have a math component and they have a literacy. Artifacts for task 4 is literacy context for learning, literacy learning segment overview, literacy formative assessment, evaluation criteria, student literacy work samples, example of student work from additional learning opportunity lesson. And then they have to respond to a literacy assessment commentary. So there is some acceptable support prior to beginning of the Edtpa draft, which includes engaging candidates in formative experience aligned with Edtpa, such as assignments analyzing their instruction, developing curriculum units, or assessing student work. As a CT, you can recommend or provide specific assistance to improve performance in area which the candidate has demonstrated a weakness, such as analytic writing, designing lessons, engaging students during teaching. You can also use rubric constructs or rubric language to evaluate and debrief observations made by cooperating teachers or supervisors. It's part of the clinical supervision process. The acceptable supporting during the Edtpa drafting, including the planning, includes co-planning a learning segment with the cooperating teachers or peer, as long as each candidate provides his or her own justification for planning decisions and analysis of the teaching and student learning in the commentaries. Asking probing questions about candidates' draft Edtpa response or video recordings without providing direct edits of the candidate's writing or providing candidates with specific answers to Edtpa prompts. Examples of acceptable probing questions are: have you compared your response to the prompt to be sure that every part of the prompt has been addressed? Do you provide the sufficient context information so that score will understand how you have matched specific strategies and action to your student? If a candidate asks for advice in justifying decisions through research or theory, what have you learned in your coursework or reading about research or theory that makes you think that each strategy would be successful? In contexts where a candidate is unable to access the IP, the cooperating teacher may provide relevant information about IP goals, modifications, and accommodations in the IP. This is subject to approval by the principal or official designees at the school site. Unacceptable support during the Edtpa draft processing, including planning, includes editing a candidate's Edtpa draft prior to submission, offering critics of a candidate's Edtpa draft prior to submission for official scoring that provides specific alternate responses, telling candidates which video clips or work samples to select for submission, uploading candidates' Edtpa responses, written responses, or videotape entries on public access social media website or uploading them to the scoring platform for the candidate. Making choice of a curriculum material or instructional strategy, other than those required by the cooperating teacher, school, or the district for the candidate. Providing an analysis of the candidate's students to or artifacts, or offering alternative response to the commentary prompts. Suggesting specific changes to be made in a draft Edtpa rather than asking questions and helping candidates reflect on a draft and reach their own conclusion about these changes. Providing the intensive coaching for candidates perceived to be weak that is aimed at helping them pass the Edtpa rather than improving their teaching competencies, such as extensive focus feedback on repeated drafts leading to the final submission. So that's the summary about Edtpa. The information I provide in this PowerPoint, there will be a link below so you can have a hard copy of information I just went through. Thank you very much.